If you enjoy OTOME games but haven't heard of Homura the Crimson Warriors, you're definitely not alone. This is a historical ninja romance where you play as a young ninja trying to prove yourself while living among a group of powerful warriors. It has multiple romance roots, dramatic battle scenes, and a lot of themes about loyalty, war, and survival. But it's also a very traditional visual novel, which means your experience will depend a lot on how much you enjoy the storytelling itself. So today, let's take a look at the story, the love interests, and whether Homura might be worth playing for you. Quick note before we begin, I was given a review copy of the game by the publishers, but I'll be sharing my honest and impartial impressions. And since we'll be showing a few clips from the official channels, there may be some very minor spoilers for early scenes. Let's start with the story. Because Homura is set during the final chapter of the Warring States period, the plot naturally leans into themes like loyalty, war, survival, and the bonds between warriors. The Sanada 10 Braves are at the center of the story, and you spend most of your time alongside them as they prepare for the conflict surrounding Osaka Castle. A lot of the roots mix political tension with personal character stories, so while there are romantic moments, the game is very plot-driven. If you enjoy historical settings, where the characters are constantly navigating danger, shifting alliances, and questions about loyalty, the narrative here has a lot to explore. There is no locked route, so you can play it in any order. But in terms of the overarching plot, here's my recommendation from least spoilers. Now let's talk about the love interests, because the Sanada 10 Braves are really the heart of the game. Starting with Sasuke. He's a very quiet, reserved character, almost painfully so. Sasuke is voiced by Sugita Tomokazu, known for his works as Kuroba from Olympia, Ron from Norn 9, and Nobunaga from Ike-sen. For most of his route, he keeps his emotions tightly guarded, which means the romantic development happens slowly and in small moments. When he does open up to the heroine, those scenes are genuinely sweet, but they're pretty rare. His route is also very plot-heavy, so a lot of the focus goes into the conflict and the events surrounding the war, rather than just the romance itself. I like that his story leans more on the way of life of a ninja, because we also see glimpses of the heroine's backstory. If you enjoy the quiet, stoic type who slowly lets his guard down, Sasuke's route can be really rewarding. Next is Saizo. He comes across as arrogant and a little bit flirtatious, like the kind of character you're not sure you can trust, but as his route develops, you start to see a much softer and more dependable side of him. He is voiced by Okitsu Kazuyuki, known for his work as Tsukuyomi from Olympia, Yoji from Sympathy Kiss, and Anku from Virtue Evermore. Saizo ended up being one of the most surprising characters in the game. He's actually one of the characters who recognizes the heroine's abilities right away. Instead of sidelining her, he actively works with her and treats her like a partner during missions. That dynamic makes their relationship feel more balanced and playful, especially because the two of them are constantly teasing each other. I find Saizo to be quite funny because he's a complicated character, yet so simple at the same time. I like how he compliments the heroine and challenges her perspective. Unfortunately though, I find the heroine a bit too nosy and a bit more naive in his route. That said, I still love how by the end of the route, Saizo goes from this ruthless ninja to someone who clearly cares deeply about the heroine, which makes his story surprisingly heartfelt. Then there's Kamanosuke. He's basically the loud, energetic one of the group. Kama is voiced by Hoshi Soichiro, known for his work as Homare in Starry Sky, Gakuto in Prince of Tennis, and Tendo in Toki Memo. He's straightforward, emotional, and sometimes a little reckless. In the early parts of his route, he honestly feels like a bit of a chaotic wildcard, especially since he does have his moments of being pretty logical. And what makes his story interesting is how much he struggles with his past. There's a twist involving his clan that forces him to question who his real enemies are and what he's actually fighting for. Because of that, His route leans more into personal identity and loyalty rather than just romance. My one gripe is that the heroine takes a backseat here, and I find that his route feels pretty shonen-esque. But the interactions between the 10 Braves also shine here, since their constant teasing and banter adds a lot of humor to the story. And then there's Juzo. Compared to the others, he tends to stay in the background more, observing what's happening rather than jumping into every conversation. Juzo is voiced by Suzumura Kenichi, known for his work as Rosie from My Next Life as a Villainess, Tomose from Charade Maniacs, and Alvaro from Wand of Fortune. Juzo is someone who has lived through the consequences of war for a long time, and because of that, he's very thoughtful about the choices he makes and the people he protects, especially Nobushige. His relationship with the heroine develops in a very steady and reassuring way. It gives his route a slightly more mature tone compared to some of the others. The heroine is pretty active in his route, and I like how she's slowly able to read him. His route has a lot of plot twists, and I enjoy the ending, especially since the side characters really shine here. So if you enjoy the kind of love interest who feels calm, protective, and quietly dependable, Juzo's story can be really satisfying. And then there's Nobushige. He's the leader of the Sanada clan, and the person the 10 Braves are sworn to serve. And because of that, his route carries a very different emotional weight. He is voiced by Suwabe Junichi, known for his work as Rindo from Cafe Enchante, Van from Code Realize, and Artem from Tears of Themis. Where the other routes often focus on the individual characters, Nobushige's story feels much more connected to the larger historical conflict happening around Osaka Castle. You see the responsibility he carries as a leader, the pressure of making decisions that affect not only his warriors, but the entire clan. And that sense of duty shapes his relationship with the heroine as well. There's always this tension between what he wants personally and what he believes he must do as a leader. His route also reveals more about the overarching story and the motivations behind the Sanada clan's choices during the war. So in many ways, it feels like one of the routes that ties the broader narrative together. Now let's talk about the heroine. The main character, Mutsumi, is actually quite active. She's a ninja in training who genuinely wants to prove herself, so she's often involved in missions and strategic situations instead of just observing from the sidelines. Her inexperience shows, but I love that you get to see her growth. One gripe I have is that the heroine's involvement in each route differs greatly. Sometimes she's just a bystander, other times she's a key person to the story. Depending on the route, the love interests either protect her or work alongside her, which creates different relationship dynamics. But overall, she feels like someone who belongs in this world rather than just being placed into it. And if you enjoy cozy narrative game discussions like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I talk about farming sims, life sims, and story-rich games that are worth your time, especially the hidden ones people don't talk about enough. The cast and side characters also deserve a quick mention because the 10 Braves as a group have a really strong dynamic. Their constant teasing, arguments, and teamwork make them feel like a tight-knit unit, and those moments really help the story feel alive. Even their villain counterparts deserve a nod because we also explore their backstories and how they're the perfect foil for our love interests. My favorite part is how they also grow in their respective routes and not just the protagonists. Visually, the game is also very appealing, especially if you've played other historical OTOME titles. The character artist behind Homura is the same illustrator who worked on Hakuoki, so the art style will probably feel familiar if you've played that series. The character designs are detailed and expressive, and many of the CG scenes are genuinely beautiful. There are also alternate sprites for each of the Sanada Braves in red armor with shorter hair. To be honest, I prefer that look more. However, you'll only unlock it near the end. The soundtrack deserves credit too. The music leans into traditional Japanese instrumentation, which fits the Sengoku setting really well. There are a lot of calm atmospheric tracks that help build the mood during quieter scenes, and it really adds to the overall immersion. If you enjoy historical visual novels like Hakuoki, Birushana, or Nightshade, especially ones that lean into war, politics, and emotional character arcs, there's a good chance Homura will appeal to you. It's also great for players who enjoy plot-driven routes and strong group dynamics between characters. But if you're someone who prefers lighter romance stories, faster pacing, or more gameplay systems, this might feel a little slow since it's very much a traditional visual novel experience. That said, if you enjoy settling in with a long story and getting to know a cast of characters over time, Homura has a lot of charm. And if the game has caught your interest and you're wondering what other Otome games are worth keeping an eye on, the next video is perfect for you. I'm sharing 30 upcoming Otome and Amare games planned for 2026. The ones that look promising not just visually, but story-wise too. So if you're looking for your next romance to fall into, click on that video next and start building your wishlist. Just tap the video on your screen and I'll see you there.